In the latest years, I have become more difficult about with which music I still want to work. And basically, one could say there is early music which I discovered with En attendant and Cesena, the music between the 11th century and 15th, 16th century, which is a huge repertory, which is mainly vocal music. Then there is for me the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, which takes a place separate from all the other composers, I think, in the history of music, and which is music which I think I will always come back to. And then, even though there is a lot of good music which has been written, I have definitely skipped the 19th century. I've never really, besides Das Lied von der Erde, von Mahler, I've never really worked with romantic music. Verklärte Nacht, Schönberg. But I sort of leap immediately to the 20th century, where definitely Anton Webern takes a specific place. And then there is, of course, the history of contemporary music, which I found, which is the music of our times, and I think which reflect the world we live in, but which is a music which has, for several reasons, a quite problematic relationship with dance, even though I think that in the history of contemporary music, the best music, if one could say, has been written in relationship to dance. I think of the Sacre du Printemps, Stravinsky, Debussy, Prélude de l'après-midi d'un faune, Jeu. And there have been important links between music and dance, such as, for example, Cage Cunningham. But even though, generally speaking, one could say that the relationship with dance and music is in contemporary music not a self-speaking one, because of the absence of pulse, because of its in complexity. My experience of the working in the last years with art subtilior, specifically En attendant and Cesena, which is highly refined music, highly refined contrapunctual music, especially also rhythmically, different layers of time that are superposed, but which dates from the 14th century. Really helped me to develop a number of different ways of choreographing. And that craftsmanship that I've developed through learning art subtilior, I sort of took with in trying to, maybe one could say even simplify the complexity of the Grisey so that they create readability visually. I made a basic phrase which is a movement sequence, which is relatively simple, extremely simple, and which is basically working on the vertical axis of the spine, and that the folding and unfolding of from a horizontal level to a vertical level of the spine being like sort of the basic architectural motor of human movement. Was like the nucleus of vocabulary that was developed with the dancers. From this very basic phrase I gave, they developed vocabulary, and then we went really, I wouldn't say step by step, but definitely measure by measure. So it was a long, very careful process of writing and saying, today we're going to write from bar 34 till bar 38, and maybe at the end of the day only having done bar 34 and 35. Yeah. The title of the piece is Vortex Temporum, the spiral of times. And the vortex is a basic circular, spiralic movement. So I thought everything should reflect the spatial organization, the movement. The time organization should reflect this kind of vortex element. So the space was organized that way, the movement was organized that way.